Alright, Shalom, Makim. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakha, Kodash. I'd like to give double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. I'd like to say Shalom to the elect that's teaching His word in all truth, faith, and sincerity. And today I just want to get into the Pride of Edom. And ultimately, the Lord is going to humble this devil. Pride is one of the characteristics that's associated with the Edomites. It's really in their DNA. And now they have a leader that pretty much embodies. You know, he's the face. Esau, you know, you can sum it up. You know, get a feel for what type of person Edomite is look at Trump. And this nigga is proud. You know, this nigga talk to world leaders any kind of way. And yeah, this nigga went as far as shoving them to the side so he can stand in the front. And now this nigga is even trying to put this nigga trying to put his face on money, man. Literally. The so-called white man face on money. This nigga Trump literally is trying to put his face on the money. So this is news break, ABC News, and it reads, Treasury pushing plans for $250 bill with Trump's portrait and signature, sources say, because this is supposed to be that court, I forgot the proper term for it, but the 250-year quartillion or something to that effect, the 250th year of America's inception. You know, show you, you know, pride go before destruction, because, you know, these niggas not even considering that that's the average lifespan of a king. That's the average lifespan of a king. It is 250 years. So this nigga, he's not expecting to you know, going to a transition. This nigga looking towards the future. I read a little bit into this. It says Trump's administration officials have pushed the office tasked with printing the nation's money to move forward with designing a commemorative $250 bill with President Donald Trump portrait and signature. So legislation to create the new currency passed, according to two people with knowledge of the discussion. And said it will mark the first time a living person have appeared on the U.S. currency in more than 150 years. As of now, federal law explicitly states only deceased people can appear on the U.S. currency. But some Republicans in Congress are working to change it. And it's really this nigga the pride of this devil, man. See, he really think that he gonna continue. Let's get there in the book of Psalm 49. And, you know, this nigga making a statement. Like, despite all these things that's happening, this nigga got a war on all fronts. And nigga got a war in every category, from literal proxy wars, this build up to this war, to economic wars and war on information. Despite all this resistance this nigga is getting, yet he's still looking towards the future. Like somehow, some way, he's gonna always prevail and move on to the next agenda. This Psalm 49 and verse 11, it reads, "The inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever." And that's the mindset of these Edomites. And they have You know, the heads of these Edomites, and it really trickled down to these people. Now you'll hear Jake talk more about generational wealth. That's really the spirit of Edom, because in that, when they speak of generational wealth, there's a fucking food truck involved. Some Eve's hand, you gotta pay taxes, and Esau is involved. This place gotta be here for you to experience generational wealth. But overall, that's these devils. They have these plans. You got a Agenda 2030. Nigga got it. NFL schedules all the way to 2100. The Super Bowl gonna be here next year. Look, nigga already planning, you know. So that's the mindset, and that has trickled down to the people that this is always gonna be a thing. You know, this is always gonna be here. Matter of fact, before I go back to this, let's get this in the book of 2 Peter. 2 Peter 3 and 4 reads, and saying, where is the promise of his coming? For since the fathers fell asleep, all things continue as they were from the beginning of the creation. See? So these people don't have that sense of urgency. They just think things is just going to be as it is. Not knowing that the Lord, Yahweh Shema Shai, is about to violently disrupt everything. It says, for this they are willingly ignorant of, that by the word of the Most High, the heavens were of old, and the earth standing out of the water and in the water, and whereby the world that then was, being overflowed with water, perished. See, it was a system in the time of Noah. It was a functioning society. It was a standard. You had structures. It wasn't primitive. When you think of the ancient era, people think, you know, primitive is fucking you rubbing sticks together. The fucking stone wheel. You know, that caveman shit that's really associated with Esau. No, it was a functioning society. But that world was uprooted. Only thing that's really left evidence of that old world was gopher wood from the ark, man. That's what the Lord's gonna do in this time. See, ain't gonna be nothing, ain't gonna be no relic left. You got a McDonald's cup. You know, you put it in a museum in the kingdom. No, nothing's gonna be a remembrance of this place. He says, but the heavens and the earth which are now by the same word are kept in store, reserved unto fire against the day of judgment and perdition of ungodly men. See? So this same word is settled, it's really reserved for this moment right now. And instead of speaking on water, we talking about fire now. That's the balance of the Lord. But she just going back to the point as, you know, people lacking that sense of urgency, you know, thinking that this is just how things gonna be. Well, I said, since the fall fell, things continue as they were. That's how a nigga is when he get out of, a nigga did a bid right when the PS3 first came out. Now he getting out when the PS5 coming out. You know, he settled. He already, you know, this is how it's gonna be. It's gonna be a PlayStation 10 eventually. He might be old, but it's gonna be another PlayStation, you know. But that's not the case. The Lord is gonna disrupt it. So going back, Psalm 49:11 said, their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own name. See? And that's what this devil, he is guilty of this. But now you see this nigga even taking a step further. You putting you already putting in talks. You in talks of printing $250 bills with your face on it. That's just a proud statement. This is to show you that this nigga he think that this is just gonna be a forever state. Things just gonna continue as they were. And if let's just say these devils do get it off the ground, it ain't gonna be long because everything's becoming digital. If anything, these niggas might use it, get it as a fucking man, what you call it? Not a gift, not an artifact. Motherfucker might encase it, laminate it, put on top of their fireplace, man. It's gonna be like as an idol, The Lord is about to rip the pride from Edom. The book of Psalms 73 and verse 3, it reads, I was envious at the foolish when I saw the prosperity of the wicked. And because, you have Jacob, follow the ways of Esau, because this devil, he laid it out the world how you supposed to get successful. You go to college, you do this, you do that. This is how you're gonna get to this point. But it was just this nigga time to rule. That's why he was prospering, man. It says, for there are no bands in their death, but their strength is firm. They are not in trouble as other men, neither are they plagued like other men, because it's their time to rule. They time to prosper, and the Lord gave him that. And this what contributed to this man pride, because Esau this nigga know where he came from. This nigga know where he came from. And the state he was in, and how dirty, filthy, and abominable that he really is. Just because the nigga got a cleave shave, he could put a suit on, don't mean that he's civilized. But to come from that dirty caveman state to really this nigga ruling the world. This is therefore pride compasses them about as a chain. See? So this nigga really, he's bound by it. It's in his makeup, it's in his DNA. He can't help it. He really can't help it. It'll be something wrong if he ain't proud. I'm just going to talk about how the people walked in great pride. Well, because of the rulers themselves. This is violence. It says, it's like violence covered them as a garment. That's this man's uniform. That's where he, the violent Edomites. The violent Mount Seir Edomites. That's what the nigga had a jersey. That's what it would read. Because that's what he's known. His blessing is the sword. By that sword shall I live. Even when he's coming under the banner of health, it's still this sword. With the sword, this nigga gotta cut you open for you to feel better. In a lot of cases. So of course, violent covering is a garment. That's what he's about. But eventually, the Lord is about to going back, despite this nigga and his pride and whatever he think he about to do, man. Ain't none of that shit finna go down, man. Before we go back, let's get this in the book of Psalms 33. Psalm 33 and I started verse 9. It says, for he spake and it was done. He commanded and it stood fast. Yeah, because the Lord is speaking through the prophets. And this word outrides everything else. The scriptures talk about how the Lord set us over the kingdoms and over the nations. So this decree, this shit is what this devil did to what it was, that warp speed, that shit ain't got nothing compared to what the Lord decreed. A build back better, the big beautiful bill, all those things, legislations and executive orders, that don't outride what the Lord have commanded, man. It says the Lord bringeth the counsel of the heathen to naught. He maketh the devices of the people to none effect. So despite this man is counseling, his planning, all this shit, the thoughts, this nigga's he spending the money in his mind before he get it. All that shit gonna blow up in his face literally with World War III. You know? So let's end off on this, the book of Psalms 73, going back 73 and verse 16. It says, when I thought to notice, it was too painful for me, until I went into the sanctuary of the Most High. Then understood I therein. And this the comfort. The Lord giving us comfort that this is not the end all be all, this place America. This is not a forever state to dwell. Now you just gotta find your niche here, you know, and make your situation more comfortable before you die in America. No, man. The Lord have given us hope. You know, that message that this place is about to be uprooted. This man is not gonna rule forever. Actually, he's really on his way out now. It says, surely thou didst set them in slippery places. Thou castest them down into destruction. And that's really the next step for Esau. We're really actually witnessing it now. This man is being destroyed. He in the process of being destructured. But that what's going to actually cement this man's downfall, what's going to be the final, what's going to really sign off from this nigga not have no more influence is World War III. So yeah, I hope this will edify. I'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Rachah, Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone. Shalom to the elect, the teacher's word in all true faith and sincerity. Shalom.